What is up, everybody? We are back in the building. Welcome to another installment of the Defiant Brandon YouTube channel. We have three, you heard it correctly, three very good, great, amazing topics for you tonight. First, we must talk about the black exodus from the Democrat Party. Democrats are absolutely panicking as black Americans apparently are waking up to the fact that the Democrat Party would rather lose everything than actually deliver anything or any of what they promised to the black community. But that's not it. We also have to discuss Louisiana Sheriff Susan Hudson, facing 30 felony counts, which could lead to a sentence of life imprisonment for her as Louisiana courts decide whether or not she purposely created a situation inside Louisiana jails that allowed inmates to escape. And I don't think I even have to tell you that she's black. And third, we gotta address this elephant in the room. I'm out here in Cali. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where y'all at, but I'm out here in Cali. And we are currently deciding who's gonna be our governor. And it's not looking great because everyone says they want to deal with corruption, but there are people who would rather choose race over doing what's best for the state. And those people here are Hispanic Californians who are openly supporting Gavin Newsom 2.0 in the form of really failed politician Javier Becerra. But stick around for everything. Stay locked in. I'm here with you guys for the next couple hours. If you're at work, you at home, you ending the day at work, you winding down, this is the place you want to be. I want to just let you guys know that there are a couple of things that this channel does differently from other channels. And one of those things is at the end of the show, we open up the show for any topics you guys would like discussed. If you have a topic you would like to discuss live, drop a $10 super chat and I will discuss any topic of your choosing for 10 minutes at the end of the show. I will pull up the video and give my thoughts. We'll watch the video and I'll give my thoughts on it. Any topic is cool. I don't really care. $10 super chat we talk about. So if there's something that you're like, oh, I wish you would talk about this, that's your opportunity. And then also contributions. If you would like to contribute to the stream, but you hear super chat and you're like, what the hell is that? We have the super chat feature, bottom right hand corner, right next to the comment bar. But if you don't have that available, we also have PayPal and Cash App pinned to the top of the comment section. And also, if you love watching it vertical, straight up and down, that's awesome. But if you would like to watch it in the landscape, you can also watch it that way, either or. I just want to let you guys know all your options. That's what this channel is about, transparency. We are in the building tonight, and we're going to be here. We're not going to be here for a long time, but we're definitely going to have a great time while we are here. So let's get into it, man. We got to start with the blacks abandoning the Democrats. They told you that the Supreme Court was your enemy, right? That's what they tell us in the Democrat Party. Oh, we need to pack the court. We need to get new Supreme Court judges. They're racist. They're this, that. That is what the Democrat Party has fed their voters for like the past decade or more. They told you that without their federal overreach, you couldn't find a ballot box. But guess what? Black America just woke up and realized that the Democrat Party hasn't offered anything but a victim label for African Americans for over 60 years. They want to do something for the immigrants, they do it right away. They want to do something for the Hispanics, they do it right away. They want to pass the anti-Asian hate bill, they do it right away. But when it comes to black folks, Malcolm X said it best. Once every 4 years roll around, then they start talking about you. And talking about you is all they do, because they know that as long as they just talk about you and never give you anything, you'll keep chasing that carrot, waiting for the day when they're actually going to put some action behind the words. All. Somebody said stop generalizing. All. I'm generalizing. Get over it. Okay, now the courts have basically taken away the magic wand of civil rights that Democrats have been using on black people for 60 years. They've literally taken away the rose-colored meta glasses that the Democrat Party has been able to put on black people and blind them from the reality, the political reality of this country, right? Now that the court has struck down the overreach of the Voting Rights Act, the left is now panicking because they can no longer use fear to keep the black vote locked on the Democrat Party. We're literally seeing a seismic shift, a total abandonment of the party that took their community or the black community for granted. The blue wall isn't just cracking, it's literally being demolished, and it's being demolished for the pursuit of the American dream. I mean, I could hear it. Do you hear that sound? I hear it. That's the sound of the Democrat Party crumbling. They're crying. They're lamenting. Oh my God, what's going on? But y'all, let's be real. Everything they're dealing with is due to a situation that they created. They created this situation. They continue decade after decade to take advantage of black people, trying to appeal to us, talking sweet to us on one side, telling us they're going to give us this and give us that, and then kicking us in the ass on the other side and never delivering anything. It got to the point where they started openly telling you, we're not going to do anything for the black community. So why is it that they're so shocked that black people are now choosing the couch? They're choosing to stay home because we can't vote Republican, I guess. They're choosing to stay home, and the Democrat Party is seeing their power be zapped away. But they knew that this was coming. What they didn't expect was for there to be such a serious pushback against the unimpeded influx of illegal immigrants into this country. They honestly, the way their strategy was going, they thought that they would have been able to make all these illegal immigrants citizens by now. And their timing was totally off. Now they're stuck between the proverbial rock and a hard place. They bet against black voters. They bet on illegal Hispanic voters coming in as illegal immigrants. And they just basically ran into Donald Trump. And they did not think he was going to get elected again. They thought Biden was a shoo-in or Kamala was a shoo-in, which would have continued these policies, and they would have pressured all the rest of us to give illegal criminal aliens amnesty. They literally were treating the black vote like a permanent voting block that they could manipulate through fear. And I talked about it in my last shows. It's called fear-based programming. Oh, you better vote for me because you don't want to know what this other guy's going to do if you elect him. But the Supreme Court basically said enough is enough. They're tired of these games. They struck down a law that was really federal overreach, where districts were being drawn up based on color, which goes directly in the face of the very civil rights that black people fought so hard for. We got beat down, bit by dogs, hit by water hoses, so things would no longer be done based on color, only to see the Democrats try to weaponize the civil rights we fought for to do exactly what civil rights was supposed to be fighting against. Why did they strike it down though? Because they knew the game is up. It's up. The more our country comes under attack from outside influence and the influx of the third world, the more people are getting into that Constitution. The more people are going back in history and re-examining the laws on the books. Because let's be real, these folks ain't about to let nobody take their country away from them without putting up a fight. And they need some footing. They need some ground to stand on to do what they will inevitably do, which is drive a large segment of this population that's illegal out of this country. The Supreme Court told you, the Democrat Party told you that without federal bureaucrats breathing down your neck in every state, you wouldn't have a voice. They lied to you. Black Americans, and I'm so proud of us for this, we're finally waking up and realizing that the party of high inflation, open borders, failing schools has not given us crap. No one. If you argue with black people who vote Democrat, you know where the argument always stops? It always stops when you ask them, what has the Democrat Party done for black folks? Roland Martin has gone as far as to say, hey, you don't get anything before the person is elected. That's a goddamn lie. Because we've been electing Democrats for 60 years. So how is it that after 60 years of putting Democrats in power, black folks still have not received anything in return? And at that point, I don't give a damn about, oh, you can't do nothing based on race and da-da-da. When they come to our doorstep, it's based on race. Joe Biden got on stage and said, well, without the black vote, when they count the votes, when they measure, when they track the voting behavior and the numbers, they do that by race. They know exactly who Black America is. They know exactly where Black America is, and they know exactly what Black America needs without us even telling them. But every 4 years, every 2 years, it's the same old bull jive. Oh yeah, we got to get out the vote. We get revolt summits and get out the vote campaigns. You know what we don't get? We don't get tangibles. We don't get anything for being the voting juggernaut for the Democrat Party for the last 60 years. And every single black person and every person of every racial group watching this knows that. We all know it. But if you deal with the other races, they're not going to admit it because they're trying to see what they can get. And they understand that part of being accepted by the Democrat Party is that you accept that you have to agree with this idea that the Black American community will get nothing in exchange for their vote. It's like one dog bark, he get a treat. The other dog bark, he get nothing. And it gets to the point where the other dog just becomes okay with that because that's what he's always received. Nothing. And then they come out here and try to continue to fearmonger you, right? They say, oh, this is voter suppression. This ain't no damn voter suppression. It's actually voter liberation. People are now black people are now trading our dependency on the Democrat Party for dignity and the realization of our true identity here in America. The Democrats lost the court because they're radical leftist policies, and now they're losing the support of the most important segment of their base. The takeover is official and is being led by who? Black folks. We always the leader in a lot of things, right? We're tired of being told how to think. We're tired of giving our vote, fighting, being the loudest voice in the room, all for nothing in return, only to be laughed at and mocked. As they say, okay, good job, Fido. Now let's put the LGBT community over you. Oh, good job, Fido. Now let's put the rights of white liberal women over you. Good job, Fido. Now let's put the rights of illegal immigrants over you. Like, y'all, do y'all understand that the illegal immigrant shit was the ultimate slap in the face? At least the other groups that they put over us, including but not limited to the trans, right? Making up less than 1% of the population, but their crap is still more important than black people, right? The illegal immigrants, though, the other groups, at least they're citizens. At least they're citizens. Right now in California, this state is going bankrupt. We don't have any money to deal with the homeless, right? Which the disproportionate amount of homeless in California are black. Go down to Skid Row. It's a gang of black people, mostly black people out there. And that's not a joke. The highest concentration of African Americans in Los Angeles County is on Skid Row. That is a fact. But when we say, hey, let's help those homeless people, let's help those people with mental illness or on drugs, they say, nope. Why? Because we got to give illegal immigrants health care. So you're going to bypass helping an American citizen with his mental health issues or his drug abuse issues, so you can provide free health care to illegal immigrants, people who aren't even supposed to be here. Thank God the Supreme Court struck down the Voters' Rights Act. Thank God they did that, because it made it impossible for the Democrat Party to continue holding the black vote hostage. That's exactly what it did. It made it impossible. Now, when black folks say, hey, man, I don't agree with this, even though a bunch of black folks do agree with it, their vote will matter. It will actually count. And you know what's going to happen? Gradually, slowly but surely, you're going to see that black vote matriculate over to the conservative side of the aisle. Watch. Could you imagine if the Voting Rights Act had been struck down when by the time Donald Trump made the Platinum Plan and offered us the Platinum Plan? You remember there was some smart black folks who was like, hey, we need to get on that. And you know what black people told us? They said, oh, he'll never do it. Where he gonna get the money? Well, he never gonna do it. Where he gonna get the money? He was gonna get the money from the same place that the Democrats got the money to give billions and billions of dollars to illegal immigrants. People who just decided to walk over here from El Salvador and give them a year stay in a 5-star hotel and $12,000 on a EBT card and $5,000 in food stamps. Programs that get them cars and everything else. New York City, which had a database, they had an app to give illegal immigrants government jobs in the state of New York, as if there weren't black folks who would love to have a government job. I just think with black folks, I don't think it's that we're like just dumb. I just think we really don't understand how badly we're being fucked over. I don't think we have enough of the information that's necessary so we can see how viciously opposed to any sort of black progress the Democrat Party has been. And it's good that we're leaving. It's good. Usually I say, vote no matter what. But I'm going to be real with you. Like I tell people, if you can't bring yourself to vote conservative or Republican, black folks, just don't vote then. Punish these Democrats. Punish them until they're begging you to allow them to do something for you. Because that is the only language they understand. Some dogs only understand the boot. And that's what the Democrat Party is. A party full of dogs who need to be kicked so they can understand that you mean business. That's exactly how the Supreme Court is handling them. So why should we handle them any differently? That's my question. Why should we handle the Democrats any differently? They don't understand compassion and loyalty and love and support and excellence. All they understand is the boot. Either we gonna stomp on you or you're gonna stomp on us. And I don't think I have to Ask black folks which side would they like to be, the side getting stomped on or the side doing the stomping. It's pretty obvious if you think about it. But let's get into one of these clips. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for locking. Oh, I got spit on. Oh, you're saying that the Democrat Party spits at people? No, 100%. Let's lock in on one of these videos because we got a lot to cover. But I'm here with you guys, and if you guys are here with me, let me know in the comments, man. Why not? We ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing going on. Let's go.
The U.S. Supreme Court today struck down one of Louisiana's majority black congressional districts, a decision that weakens key protections under the Voting Rights Act. In a 6-3 ruling, the court's conservative majority found that Louisiana's 6th district, which links black communities across the state, relied too heavily on race in its design.
Writing for the majority, Justice Samuel Alito called the map an unconstitutional gerrymander. The decision could open the door to broader legal challenges over majority black and Latino districts across the country and give states new latitude to redraw maps in ways that could shift the balance of political power. Louisiana Democratic Congressman Troy Carter said the impact of the ruling will extend far beyond his state.
This is about our democracy. That's right. And I implore everyone who's out there to recognize that if you care about justice, freedom, and fair elections, you should be as upset as we are.
We are joined now by Amy Howe, NewsHour Supreme Court analyst and co-founder of SCOTUS blog, and Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report with Amy Walter. It's great to have the both of you here. So Amy Howe, we'll start with you. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, long been considered a cornerstone of protections against racial discrimination in voting, passed during the height of the Civil Rights Movement, expanded by Congress thereafter. Given that history, help us understand exactly what the court ruled today.
So the court did two things. First, as the introduction suggested, it struck down this map that Louisiana drew in 2024 that created a second majority black district in Louisiana. And it had done that in response to a court ruling in a case that had been brought by black voters, arguing that Louisiana had violated the Voting Rights Act when it drew a map in 2022 because that map only had one majority black district. And those voters said that Louisiana had diluted their votes, that they had cracked and packed. The voting rights terminology goes black voters. And so it struck the 2024 map down, which was intended to address the Voting Rights Act violation. And then in the process of getting to that conclusion, the court articulated a new test, or as Justice Samuel Alito put it, writing for the majority, updated its old test for determining whether or not a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race in voting, exists. And it said if plaintiffs want to allege that there is a violation of Section 2, they need to show that there is intentional discrimination on behalf of the state when it's.
Okay, so basically what she's saying is, okay, so the Voter Rights Act protected against racial discrimination when it came to drawing up voter districts, right? So the way Democrats use this, they misinterpreted purposely and said, well, we can draw up maps. In the maps, we can just make sure that the squiggly lines only surround black folks. If we have a whole district that's only encompasses black folks, we know that that district will always go Democrat because most blacks, 85 to 90% of blacks vote Democrat. So they were guaranteeing themselves congressional seats by making the districts predominantly one race, right? So in every state, they would be able to use the small amount of blacks because when it compared to whites and compared to Hispanics, there's a very small amount of black people in every state. So if they're able to draw a map just around that group, they have now made a congressional seat that is decided purely by black votes. And that's where you got a lot of black people getting into Congress. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Brandon, don't we want more black people in Congress? Well, yeah. I'm black. I would like to see more black people in Congress. But what I don't want to see is black people in Congress majority in one party, because that means the only black people that make it to Congress are black people who pander to the radical left progressive ideas of the Democrat Party. Why do you think you have, like, we are all black, right? Not all of us in here, but I just want to teach y'all something about black folks. Black people do not agree with 90% of the crazy stuff that the Democrat Party pushes. We don't agree with transgender women, or they're really men dressed like women in bathrooms with our women. Black people collectively do not agree with that. Black people in large part do not even agree with abortion. Black people do not really agree with gay marriage. Black people, a lot of things that the Democrat Party pushes, the sex change stuff for the minors, black people don't agree with that. But how do we get lumped in? How do we get lumped in with the group that believes in all that when we don't believe? Well, when you draw those districts up like that, and your voter base, the party that controls your voter base says, well, if you don't accept, sex changes for minors, you ain't never going to get elected. Anyone who wants to be elected has to capitulate to that garbage so that they can have a chance. It's happening right now in California. There's this black guy named Thurman, right? He's running for governor. The guy's pretty okay, but I could never support him because the guy's talking about he will try to prosecute ICE agents for doing their job on the streets of California. He also said that he would add a tax on he would institute a tax on any business that does business with ICE agents. I'm talking about if you serve an ICE agent a hamburger, he wants to impose a tax on you. Now, do you think this dude Thurman really believes that? Do you think black people really care about majority Hispanic immigrants, illegals getting removed out of California? Not really. Not really, but he has to agree with those failed policies, or else he won't even be considered as a candidate for the Democrat Party. That's the way it works. If you don't agree to these ridiculous policies, they will not even consider you as a realistic candidate for any position within the Democrat Party. How does that help black folks? How does that help anybody, even Hispanics or anything else? So I got to agree to all this nonsense for me to even be considered. So once you got rid of those gerrymandered maps, the ones gerrymandered strictly based on race, now you can get black people, white people, and Hispanic people who all have, common sense and who all share the same values. They will be the new voter blocks. And let's be real. Let's be 100% real. If I live in a nice neighborhood with clean streets and I'm black and my neighbors happen to be white, Hispanic, whatever, well, we all agree that the street should be clean. We all agree that the trash truck should come on time. We all agree that nobody should be allowed to park broken down cars on the lawn. We have more in common with each other than I may have in common with other black people. And that is the way this country is supposed to work, because whether you like it or not, all black people don't think the same. Black people say, oh, black folks are not a monolith, but then we let the Democrat Party turn us into exactly that. And I'm already hurting some feelings because we got to be, shut up, you're hurting my feelings. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm here to hurt your feelings. I'm here to do what your father never did before he screwed your mom and laughed. I'm here to teach you the truth about the country that you live in. We all have a lot in common with other people that goes beyond race. So why are black folks who want something better in life cursed to deal with bullshit because their vote is lumped in with people who don't want nothing out of life? Why is the projects deciding what happens within the black community? Because the projects gonna vote if you give them a $5 Baskin Robbins gift card, right? While the black folks with sense is like, nah, man, we gotta do it this way. But the projects don't want to hear that because they like, I gotta have my welfare and my Section 8 coming. So it's good. The Supreme Court liberated black folks, and it liberated the black folks from the niggas. That's the reality. They liberated black folks from the ankle weight, the ball and chain of niggerdom. That's what they did. Now I don't have to be lumped in with a bunch of people who don't want shit out of life. And they don't got to be lumped in with me because they don't want shit out of life. And I do want something out of life. But I will be able to vote with like-minded individuals to get the things that I want implemented into politics. Guys, why do you think Louisiana is so bad? Think about that. This all started in Louisiana. Why do you think Louisiana is so bad? Because if you really, right, if you really look at Louisiana, they drew the maps just so that the ghetto would decide who's the politicians for that area. So the politicians are like if you got one little area encompassing a bunch of ghetto hood rats, what is the politician going to do? The politician always going to try to appeal to the hood rats because that's who's voting in that district. Getting rid of those lines, now the hood rats got to fight against the white folks. The hood rats got to fight against the white folks and the black folks with sense. That's a true voting map. The people who are ignorant and don't care about law and order should have to go against the people who got sense and want to improve their area. So it's a benefit. And it's so beautiful, right, that this Voter Rights Act situation was struck down in the great state of Louisiana, because that leads us directly into another situation coming out of Louisiana that I think is really going to blow your mind. I think this is going to I think this is going to knock you out when you find out about this, because this is some mess. It is crazy. Pay attention. It is crazy that while these people scream and holler about racism, and the Supreme Court actually saves us from true racism, and everything, this whole argument started in Louisiana, one of the most crime-ridden states in the country. It's so amazing that at the same time, we are being given absolute proof that the Supreme Court made the right decision. We have a sheriff, a female sheriff in Louisiana, right, who is on trial because they're saying, black female sheriff, they're saying she set up a situation that allowed inmates to break up out of jail. So somebody commit a crime, hurt somebody, they go to jail, but sugar mama over here, she didn't set it up to where the inmates could escape from the damn prison. Y'all check this out.
Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson and her Chief Financial Officer Bianca Brown both out on bond tonight after they were handed down a state indictment tied to the Orleans Parish jailbreak. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Sharice Gibson. Last spring's jail escape led to a manhunt of 10 Orleans Parish jail inmates, and now it's leading to legal trouble for the outgoing sheriff. And Sananda McCall, she's been following the developments all evening. Sananda, what can you tell us? Obviously, a shock to everyone as she's getting ready to leave office.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been some major news today. Now, just before leaving office, Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson was taken into custody, indicted on 30 felony counts for her alleged role in what prosecutors call one of the largest jailbreaks in the country.
As I prepare to leave office in the coming days, I do so with gratitude.
A day after holding her farewell press conference, Susan Hudson is facing a 30-count indictment. It's a case experts say is rare and deeply tied to the troubled history of the Orleans jail.
Usually when you see, unfortunately, we've seen several times before, Orleans Parish officials being indicted, it's in federal court on charges of federal corruption, mail fraud, those sorts of things.
Instead, the indictment was brought by Louisiana's Attorney General after a special grand jury investigation into the escape of 10 inmates from the Orleans Justice Center last spring.
The Attorney General is going to have to prove that Sheriff Hudson intentionally refused or did not perform duties required by her office.
Prosecutors say Hudson didn't personally open the jail doors, but argue her failure to meet basic legal duties led to the escape.
The fact that intentional misconduct is required to prove all of these crimes makes it, at the very least, an interesting, if not a difficult case for the Attorney General's office to prove.
Former WWL investigative reporter Mike Pearlstein says the indictment suggests prosecutors are looking beyond this moment.
That just raises the question, just speculating that there may be something systemic that ran through the course of her term, in office,
if there was anything to do with obstructing this investigation into the jailbreak in the aftermath of that crime, then we'd see kind of more traditional charges that might be brought in state court that relate to not in this case, the jailbreak itself, but the cover-up afterwards.
To say that Sheriff Hudson had a rocky 4-year tenure would be an understatement.
I can't even begin to speculate as to why these charges were brought now rather than weeks or months ago or 2 or 3 weeks from now. There's no telling.
Hudson's chief financial officer, Bianca Brown, was also indicted. Both surrendered their passports and are due back in court on Thursday.
And Sananda, I have to tell you, that was a rocky time. Mike Pearlstein was right in saying this, that 4-year tenure that she served as the first African-American woman to serve as sheriff. It was a rough tenure, and it also dealt with public trust. A lot of people said they lost faith in public trust in the sheriff's position. What did they have to say about that?
Yeah, so we know that when Sheriff Hudson inherited this jail, it was in pretty tough condition. We know that she took it on when there were staffing shortages, there were security problems, and her leadership promised to go about reforming this department, as well as expecting more accountability from the department itself once it was inherited.
Right.
But after the jailbreak, a lot of people lost trust in that situation. Even the AG's office said that only her leadership made problems worse. We did hear from the sheriff-elect, Michelle Woodfork, who says that there has been a goal after she takes office on Monday to restore a new era of leadership. She said that she's hoping to bring about accountability, transparency, which we did hear that again from Sheriff Hudson when she first took office. So a lot of people are kind of trying to wait and see. And we do know that right now, Sheriff Hudson as well as Bianca Brown have been released on bond.
All right, thank you so much. A lot to play out for this one. I know that we have a lot of questions still that need to be answered in regards to the timing of it all as well. Sananda, thank you so much for your coverage throughout the day.
All right, so what I'm seeing is they done got another black lady. They got another light-skinned chick up in here, which color don't mean nothing, but she's cute. Oh, my goodness. They got this Woodfork lady. She has just been elected, and I kind of see it's more of the same stuff. People being elected so that they could meet the quota of being first and, quote-unquote, make history for the black female in this country, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to make sure that let me stop lying. You shouldn't be putting women damn near period, and let alone black women, in no position of authority. I'm not gonna lie to I almost lied because I was trying to be politically correct, but I can't think of a black woman other than maybe Condoleezza Rice, maybe Winsome Sears, somebody like that who I would put in a position of real authority. If I just rack my brain, what black women would I really trust with the reins of anything, or women period, would I really trust with the reins of anything in this country? Maybe Tulsi Gabbard, maybe Tulsi Gabbard, but beyond that, none, because it's like the expectations, in my opinion, are lowered when you put a woman in the position. And I think a lot of women feel like they gotta they're more above, they go above and beyond with the feistiness aspect of it, but they don't go above and beyond with the performance, the execution aspect of it. I mean, look at this lady, Susan Hudson, when she was being when they were deciding on it, they were calling her a reformer. They said she's progressive. That's a red flag. I don't want anyone who's progressive. There are certain things in this world that need to always be conservative, like jail systems, jailing systems, prison systems. I don't want the new progressive outlook on that. I want it to damn near be a dungeon so the people who go there won't ever want to go back. I don't want it to be a day camp where they're like, oh, I'm going to just go over there and hang out for a while. Right? Now, they're just calling this chick a defendant. Susan Hudson. She's literally facing 30 counts in this indictment. And if she's convicted, she will spend the rest of her life behind bars. And I want to say it's all her fault, but the people who put her in power should have known better. But guys, let's be real. Who's voting for sheriff? Who's the voter bloc in that area that's deciding that sheriff? the parents of the same black folks who she's locking up. So do you think her true allegiance will be to law and order? Or will her true allegiance be to the Pookies and Ray Rays and their parents who are keeping her employed? I mean, it's pretty simple when you think about it. This is the natural conclusion of the radical leftist policies of Louisiana. And thank God the Supreme Court struck down the Voting Rights Act, because now the map will be opened up and you will have more people, black, white, blue, and green, with common sense voting as to who will be the next sheriff in that area, right? 10 inmates just walked out. Listen, y'all saw that video that we played earlier? 10 inmates just walked out of this lady's jail like it was nothing, like they was visiting. They walked out of her jail through a hole that was behind the toilet. And she spent months pretending like the hole didn't exist and like it wasn't really a big deal. And I'm telling you, she probably left that hole there purposely so people could escape. She probably was paid off. This ain't just about the jailbreak, though. It's about a total abdication of her duty. This lady prioritized social justice theories, right? Social justice theories over the safety of the people of New Orleans and the families there. Criminals escaping through a hole in a wall in the middle of the night to go do more crime. She chose to play activist instead of being a sheriff, while her prison was literally rotting away and inmates were escaping. She's being charged with malfeasance, obstruction of justice, falsifying records. This indictment reads like a manual on how to destroy your career as sheriff, literally. We are watching the collapse of the radical left in real time. The first story connects directly to this story because the first story was hinged on a decision made by the Supreme Court based on charges that were brought up in Louisiana. And everywhere you go, you talk to anybody from Louisiana, they'll tell you the violence is out of control. People getting killed over frivolous arguments at barbershops. People want to kill you because you mess with the girl that they mess with. People having road rage, jumping out, pulling out AK-47s, gunning each other down. That's not the way it's supposed to be in any American state. But do you think it's a coincidence that in the place where this stuff is running rampant, they are making a concerted effort to elect female activist sheriffs instead of real hard-nosed law enforcement that's going to do the damn job? Okay, guys, so there's another story that I want to talk about because it's absolutely crazy. We're going to stay in line with this law and order situation. Chicago, I haven't talked about Chicago in a while. But when I tell you that Chicago is going absolutely insane, it's more of the same, more of this liberal nonsense. And at this point, like I be on like the internet kind of watching things play out. There's a couple of arguments that happen in my own comments. And I see people arguing for the left, but those arguments only happen on the internet. No one in real time can argue in favor of liberal progressive policies. The way these policies are destroying our country is absolutely mind-blowing. I'm talking about you have people fighting so that people who commit heinous crimes can be released for jail as they await sentencing, right? And while they're awaiting sentencing, they are allowed to go out and commit more crime. They're able to go out and commit more crime. They got people in Chicago right now. You got a guy in Chicago. He was, okay, so he committed a crime, right? He went to jail. The judge decided to release this guy after he committed the crime on cashless bail. Okay, you don't have money, so we're not going to make you pay bail. We're just going to let you out with an ankle monitor. Do you realize that when the judge released this guy on an ankle monitor, and this is true to God, this guy was already awaiting trial for 7 other felony counts, including felony assault and battery. He was while being released from court, from prison, from jail. When he got arrested, he was already out on cashless bail for 7 other felony crimes that he committed. How is somebody who commits a crime, gets released on cashless bail, goes and commits another crime, get released, goes and commits another crime, gets released, how is this person constantly being let out? And what's going on? This resulted in 2 police officers being killed at the Swedish hospital in Chicago, where this guy managed. Now, mind you, he was already out on bail for 7 other felonies. This guy was arrested and taken to a hospital. Somehow he was able to smuggle a gun in to the hospital and open fire and kill these 2 officers. I think it was 2, maybe 1, but I think it was 2.
So NBC5 investigates another question that many of us are still asking tonight, and one that may weigh on police families for years to come. How did a violent repeat offender manage to smuggle a gun into a Chicago hospital while in Chicago police custody?
Investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy on the story tonight and has some answers for us.
When Alfonso Talley was taken into custody, and put in a CPD transport wagon, the police policy called for him to be handcuffed and searched head to toe. It's a procedure repeated thousands of times a year in Chicago and on hundreds of occasions for patrol officers. In Talley's case, investigators are still searching for how he managed to sneak a gun into a hospital emergency room past 2 veteran officers and hospital security who all had to search him. The moment of truth for many Chicago police officers, an arrest and search for dangerous weapons. This 26-year-old career criminal, Alfonso Talley, whom prosecutors say appears in a lengthy rap sheet of gun crimes and shouldn't have been on the streets, last Saturday managed to smuggle a Glock 10mm pistol like this, branded as a subcompact and easily concealed. Now, law enforcement sources tell the NBC Chicago investigative team that Talley hid his illegally obtained weapon in the folds of fatty skin, his weight recently down from 320 pounds to 280. Despite Talley being unclothed for a medical check and covered with only a hospital blanket, the gun went undetected during several searches. Prosecutors say the chronic felon pulled the gun from beneath the blanket and began firing at both wagon officers.
Remember, professional criminals, people that are carrying guns, are professionals at what they do. They do not want to be caught. They are very good at secreting weapons upon their body.
I'm not trying to be funny, but this man, from what they're telling us, this man hid a weapon in between the folds of fat on his body, bro. I thought when they searched you, they kind of like rubbed you up and down the sides and stuff to make sure. I mean, I've been searched before. Like, I thought they like kind of went down, patted. Like, you telling me this dude was that ginormous to where he was like ready to kill? Like, he had a gun hidden under his folds of fat, bro. That's fat. That's big as hell. That's absolutely crazy. But this just shows you that people, see, sometimes you might see a big fat person and think like, oh, they're not a threat. And that's probably what those cops were thinking. But sometimes when you see somebody who is huge, gelatinous, and just ridiculous, a lot of those people are struggling with like mental illness, or they're just criminal minded, right? I remember I have a homeboy named Q. Bro was like that. He used to be real slim and trim, used to get all the girls. One day I see this dude, he's like 450 pounds, blubber everywhere. Next time I saw that dude, he was wearing a dress and a wig with lipstick. I was like, that's a sign of mental like health deterioration, in my opinion. But this guy was a violent criminal. To hide a gun under your folds of fat and then say, let me go for the gun and kill 2 officers. Why was this guy on the streets? Why did this guy continuously get cashless bail? And it makes you wonder, like when you're walking around in your own neighborhood, you be looking at people like, man, I hope this dude ain't out on cashless bail and he really a psychopath, or this female, I don't know, maybe it was a 25. I could only think of a 25.
Former CPD Chief of Detectives Gene Roy says this department directive lays out custodial search policies, including occasional searches of genitals, buttocks, anus, or undergarments. When Talley was arrested last weekend, he told arresting officers that he had swallowed 5 bags of drugs and needed medical help. Investigators believe that ploy was to get inside Swedish Hospital, where he would be unhandcuffed for an imaging scan. That's when he retrieved the gun hidden in rolls of skin, according to law enforcement sources. How did Talley know about the possible escape point? We've learned Talley made a very similar drug-swallowing claim a year ago. According to this Chicago police report we've obtained, April 2025, Talley was arrested and said he'd swallowed multiple bags of crack cocaine and was transported to the hospital. On that occasion, there was no gun. But during arrest, officers...
They're saying that this was a 9mm handgun. Bro, do you know how big that is, bro? That's like this big. Bro had a 9mm handgun under a folded fat. Ooh, because if it was like a deuce 5, like a 25, I'm thinking he could probably stuck it up his ass. But a 9mm? Nah, like they either didn't do a proper search or something. I don't know. I don't know what's up with that.
Aren't likely to know such history, according to Roy.
In 90% of those cases, you are not going to know who that individual is, what their criminal history is, and what sort of background they may have had. Are they a violent offender or a non-violent offender? You would be shocked at how resourceful criminals are to avoid getting caught with a weapon or to try and bring a weapon into a facility where one is not allowed.
Retired Chief of Detectives Roy says in his decades at CPD, he never saw a suspect conceal a gun in the way this one apparently was. He says apparently because we may never know exactly where it was hidden on the accused shooter. Federal prosecutors tonight say they know where the pistol came from. Talley's girlfriend now charged with buying it illegally at an Indiana gun store.
Hey, bro's diabolical. This is a criminally minded person. This is a criminally minded person. And what you should be worried about is he was walking around in society with everybody else. So while the liberals fight for soft on crime policies, you got violent criminals. And this is what, like somebody, I forgot who was talking about, the governor of Louisiana. He talked about the hug a thug policies. Understand that. Liberals have a sick obsession with criminals. They fight every way they can to let criminals run the streets because they understand that if they allow your community to deteriorate into chaos, that makes it easier for them to get you it makes it easier for them to convince you to give up your rights in the name of safety and protection. It's the same shit they did for during the voting the crime bill. That's how they got black people to the crime bill, the 92 and 94 crime bill. That black folks went to the politicians and asked for that. The three strikes law and all that stuff that created like a prison, the industrial prison complex. Black folks talk about like the school to prison pipeline, the industrial prison complex, all that. Black folks created that. We talk about how much it hurt us, but we never talk about how we created it, because our communities got so bad. I mean, look at the Central Park 5, right? Which I think they're guilty as hell. But look at the Central Park 5. They're in the park robbing and raping women. And let's not say they're guilty, but you know, if they were in there allegedly doing that, you know that type of shit was going on in Central Park. So when you live in a community that's overrun with crime, go watch some of those videos of Mike Tyson talking about how he used to rob old ladies in New York. He said he gonna help them up with their groceries, you know, for a little tip. He get in the elevator, beat the shit out of them, steal their whole purse and all their jewelry and keep on going. Old elderly women, understand that. This type of stuff was going on. New Jack City type shit, if you ever watched that movie. When you have your community overrun like that, even black people will go to the police and the politicians. Please do anything. We don't care. We'll give up our rights. That's how stuff like stop and frisk got put in. You let the crime get out of control, and now you're begging these people to take your rights away in the name of safety. And then they take your rights away and they exploit you. And then you're crying and lamenting like, why did that happen? Well, because you let it get out of control. But as people like me try to tell you and explain to you, you know, hey, people who do crime need to sit in jail for a while. If somebody's a repeat offender, he shouldn't be getting out on cashless bail. But ultimately, it's up to the judge to decide whether or not they're going to give cashless bail. So the real issue is these judges. And a lot of these judges are voted in by who? By the community. See what I'm saying? So we could say whatever. But what if this guy would have killed somebody's kids? What if this guy would have killed a black person's son? And who knows how many people he's killed? Who knows how many people this guy has killed? Let's be real. Who knows how many people this thug has killed? But nobody cares because it's all about, oh, let's feel sorry for them. It's all about toxic empathy, where you feel so sorry for a criminal, but have zero sympathy or empathy for the victims of the criminal. That's the problem. That's the biggest issue. It's all about our society has fallen in love with criminals, and we need to take the steps to come out of that. We need to start talking about, you know, fixing our system. The laws are on the books. The laws are there to fight this stuff, but we refuse to do it because we're so obsessed. We're obsessed, right, with the idea of getting free stuff. So we let the socialists come on in, right? And then we're obsessed with this perverted sense of justice. And when we do that, we let the criminals roam free, roam our streets, right? And listen, we cannot allow that to continue to be the case. But I want to move forward because you know, Chicago, that dystopian city, is run by Mayor Brandon Johnson, black dude, just an idiot, loves criminals, right? But let's go over to the other dystopian apocalyptic city in America, New York, run by socialist Marxist Zohran Mamdani. Mamdani was recently humiliated when asked about his continued taxation or attempt to tax the rich. He's chasing all the billionaires out of New York. They're running away to Florida and Wyoming. And he's trying to threaten the governor of the state, saying, you know, he'll basically mobilize all of New York against her if she doesn't continue to raise draconian taxes on billionaires, which we know how this works, guys. They tax the billionaires leave, those taxes fall onto the middle class. That's us, the middle class. If you got $1,000 cell phone, you're probably in the middle class. That's you. You know how you like getting a tax return? That's going to be gone. Because once the billionaires leave and go to states with more favorable tax policies, someone has to pay for all this free stuff bro is promising. And it ain't going to be those billionaires.
The mayor of New York getting pushback from billionaire Ken Griffin and his company called Citadel. Griffin threatening to not go forward with his planned project in Midtown Manhattan.
If you remember, if you watched the show the day we covered that originally, I said that this is pretty insane that he would just pick a billionaire and stand outside his house. Up there, it's basically saying to the people, you know, when you come for the rich people and you break into the, you break past the doorman and you're going to like burn a place down, this would be a pretty good place.
Like for this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million.
What is the point of that? What is the point of...
So Zohran Mamdani, he's doing this like he's doing this like commercial, basically trying to sell this idea of like tax the rich to New Yorkers, right? He's already sold it to them. That's how he got elected. But he goes to this CEO, the guy's the CEO of Citadel, which is a hedge fund, right? And he goes in front of bro's apartment, $238 million apartment, and is basically like, oh yeah, the CEO of Citadel has this apartment and he hasn't paid his fair share and blah, 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 blah. And like just this whole narrative lie, right? And so everyone's like, oh, this Citadel CEO is the bad guy. And Zohran Mamdani is like, when you see these rich people, just know that they got all this money and they're not giving you enough of it. Well, the CEO of Citadel, Ken Griffin, he's basically like, well, since you're targeting me, now I might move out of New York, right? So you want my money so bad that you're going to come to my house and point at my building where I live, where you guys remember the guy Luigi just killed a CEO a couple of months ago. So people are saying that when Zohran did this, he was literally putting the life of this CEO in danger, which I would agree. If you show people where this guy lives at, they could stalk this guy, hang out outside of his house, wait till he walks outside and kill him. So now this guy is saying, you know, I might just leave New York. Well, he doesn't even live in New York full time. He actually lives in Florida now, but he still has the penthouse there. He's saying he might move Citadel out of New York. Listen, he might move Citadel out of New York so that, you know, so that he doesn't have to deal with being harassed by Zohran Mamdani and the people who are out here saying, oh, the rich need to pay their fair share. And you know, you got a lot of people who will say, like, I got someone in the comments, Naeem Reed, paying taxes is patriotic, right? See, the thing with Naeem is this person doesn't really understand the way their own country works. They don't understand the politics of New York. They don't understand who's actually paying the taxes in New York. They just are, this type of person just cuts off their nose to spite their face. Because Citadel paid over $2.3 billion in taxes last year. And this guy gave over $625 million of his own money towards New York social programs. So what do people mean when they say, oh, the rich aren't paying their fair share? I know I didn't pay no $2.3 billion in taxes last year. I know I didn't give $625 million of my own money to social programs in New York. Ken Griffin did that. But now, because Zohran wants to play cute games, trying to shame and trying to rally people up, Ken Griffin is like, I'm out. I'm about to leave the state totally. And I'll give this money to cities in Florida. So the more he tries to push like the rich aren't paying their fair share, you don't see people running and saying, well, let's see how much the rich really did pay. They're not doing that. They're just believing everything this crook Zohran Mamdani says. But bro's mom is a multimillionaire. Bro's father is a multimillionaire. So why aren't they paying their fair share? See? Everything is falling apart with this situation. They are literally driving billionaires out of the city. And understand something. millionaires and billionaires in New York pay like 61% of all taxes in the city. They pay 61% of all taxes in New York. So when they get mad and they leave, who do you think those taxes fall on? The middle class. And then here's the thing, like my granddaddy used to tell me. He used to say, everybody is rich to somebody. So when people say like eat the rich, tax the rich, guys, if you make $150,000 a year, you're rich to somebody who makes $20,000 a year or doesn't make nothing. They live on welfare. So the rich, the definition of rich, it will just continue to change as the richer people leave the city. That's all it is. It's literally it's a self-destructive policy. It's a self-destructive policy. And every rich person in New York is going off on this dude because of this policy. But the guy, but you know, Mamdani, he's basically acting like he couldn't care less, because he couldn't. Because Mamdani knows if he runs the billionaires out, he'll just lower the threshold. Okay, now we're gonna tax anyone making over, because right now he'll say, well, anybody who buys these super big, these super expensive apartments, they all leave. He'll say, okay, now we'll tax anybody who makes over $1 million. They leave, we'll tax everybody who makes over 500,000. They leave, we'll tax everybody who makes under 250,000. They leave, we're gonna tax everybody who makes over 100,000. That's how it works. It's just, it goes down and lower as time goes on. It's a trap. And I compared this to the Bible a while back when I was telling you there's a scripture that says, if you dig a hole for someone else, beware that you don't fall in it. And that's what we've begun to do in America. You know, even though people are rich, they're still your neighbors. 9 times out of 10, if someone in your neighborhood is rich, you won't even know. There are a lot of multimillionaires walking around dressed like Bill Gates, like t-shirt and a flannel. But when you dig a hole for rich people because you really hate them because they're successful, you don't understand that you might fall in that hole. Because when Citadel leaves, who replaces the 200? If Citadel leaves, who replaces the 2,500 jobs that Citadel provides within New York? If Citadel leaves, who replaces the 6,000 permanent jobs that are going to be created when Citadel builds up its new construction project in New York City? See, you lose. You can hate the rich all you want, but the rich are often the people who are the real OGs, right? You know, in our community, you hear people talking, oh, the OG, that's the OG, that's the OG. Well, the rich are the OGs, but in a different way. They're not original gangsters. They're opportunity givers. See, a lot of y'all black folks sit up and do security, right? There's a security company here. I'm not going to say the name of it, but it's very big. And every time you see somebody with the little patch on, they black. Well, I got a chance to meet the guy who's the CEO of that security company. And he's a white dude. And he provides jobs all over the world. All over the world. Probably hiring thousands and thousands of black people. So if we run that dude out of California, get out of California, you asshole. And he says, okay, well, I'm going to take all the jobs my company provides out of California. That will be thousands and thousands of black folks who won't have a job. But we don't think about it like that. Because African Americans, for some reason, we don't think we are really a part of America for some reason. We don't think that what happens with America affects us unless it's something that Donald Trump is doing. Oh, hi, gas. But you ain't American, so why do you care?
The mayor of New York getting pushback from billionaire Ken Griffin and his company called Citadel. Griffin threatening to not go forward with his planned project in Midtown Manhattan. That would create, he says, 15,000 permanent jobs.
Now, this all started when Mayor Mamdani made a social media.
Hey, I messed up. I said 6,000 permanent jobs. That will make 15,000 permanent jobs. So Mamdani is going to run Ken Griffin out of New York, right? With him is going to leave not only Citadel in those jobs, 2,500, 15,000 new jobs that he was about to create. Guys, listen, 15,000 permanent jobs this guy's creating. Leave this man alone. Leave this man alone. Turvit Hughes said, so says Ken Griffin. Yeah, but you ain't creating no jobs. That's all I'm saying. All the critics of the job creators, aka the OGs, the opportunity givers, they're not creating any jobs. I just hired 2 new people for the business that I have. How many jobs are you creating? None. And that's the craziest thing about this conversation. All the people who aren't employing anyone are always talking about how someone is not giving their fair share. I personally believe if you create 15,000 jobs, which is clearly going to be in the next 5 years, that's going to generate billions of dollars in money. Like, that's going to give billions of dollars of money out to people who then will go to restaurants and go to movies and get in Ubers and do it. See, what you guys don't understand, people don't understand how the economy actually works. See, they think economy is just a big word. They don't understand how this works. He create 15,000 jobs. The people who work those jobs go pay the daycare, pay the movie theater, pay the grocery store, they pay the clothing store, the Uber drivers, they pay the DoorDash and the Lyft drivers and the Postmates and everything. They rent the apartments, right? They go buy the bicycles and the jackets and the kitchen table. That's all connected. But if you don't have that person at the top, that OG at the top, spreading the wealth around, hiring people, all that stops and it goes somewhere else. And that's why the governor of New York, I'm not going to tell you what she said. She was so pissed off at this guy.
Video pushing for his and the governor's pied-à-terre tax and doing it right in front of Griffin's apartment on Central Park South. Griffin bought it for $238 million back in 2019, even though he's not technically a New York City resident.
Oh, politics in New York City. NJ Burkett live in Midtown Manhattan with the mayor's reaction and what happens now. Dude.
Now, let me ask you something. There's an apartment in New York City worth $283 million, right? Who else was going to buy that apartment? I'll wait. Who else was going to buy that apartment? Zoran got a problem with Ken Griffin. Who else was going to buy a $238 million, which at this point is the most expensive home in the world right now? That's like the most expensive home in the country right now. Who was going to buy it? You? Your mama? Your grandma? No. So he bought it, and it's just his part-time home for when he's in New York. So he owns it, he maintains it, he pays the mortgage or whatever else, and he doesn't use the services in the building or in the neighborhood at all because he's gone to Florida where his real house is, right? That's who you want there. You want a person who will buy in your real estate market but not require any services because they're gone somewhere else. No one else was going to buy that place. He bought it. You should be thinking, not only is he buying that place, he's creating 15,000 new jobs in New York when he could create those 15,000 new jobs in Florida or anywhere else, LA, Vegas, anywhere else. These are the people you should be working with. Instead, Zoran wants to attack these people. It's crazy.
Yeah, Bill, outside Griffin's apartment here on Central Park South, this is where Mamdani made his video last week. He campaigned, of course, as a Democratic socialist, and he insists tonight he's doing exactly what he was elected to do. So a clash with the city's billionaires was all but inevitable. Mayor Mamdani was making no apologies today. Asked if he regrets the video, his answer was simple.
That home, when it was purchased, was the most expensive home in the United States of America.
Last week, the mayor stood outside 220 Central Park South.
Today, we're taxing the rich.
To promote a new tax on ultra-luxury second homes.
This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich, those who store their wealth in New York City real estate but who don't actually live there.
Case in point, the penthouse on the 53rd floor.
Which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million.
Griffin lives in Miami, CEO of Citadel, a hedge fund that employs 2,500 people in New York. In a memo to the staff, the chief operating officer wrote, quote, "It is shameful that he used Ken's name as the example of those who supposedly aren't carrying their fair share." Griffin and the staff paid $2.3 billion in city and state taxes, he said, and Griffin himself directed $650 million in charitable gifts to city institutions. That their planned 1,600-foot tower on Park Avenue will create over 20,000 mostly permanent jobs. Then adding, the project, if we move forward, will entail more than $6 billion of spending. If Griffin is reconsidering, Mamdani seems unconcerned.
I am intent, however, on balancing this budget in a manner that asks the wealthiest and the most profitable corporations to pay that little bit more so that everyone can afford to live in the city. And that means Ken Griffin, and that means so many others across the city. And that also means those who would love to join us in the city.
Mamdani believes he won a mandate, destined perhaps to clash with the city's billionaires.
They will do everything they can to prevent their grip from weakening.
Some in the business community tonight are urging caution.
It's a big ecosystem here, and by villainizing the wealthier people that are providing a lot of the jobs for the middle class, ultimately you get a smaller pool of jobs for the middle class, and then who wins in that environment?
Well, there are conflicting studies tonight as to whether
It is literally the dumbest thing you could ever do. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You go after billionaires. They're not happy about it because they're already invested in the city in a major way. They say, you know what? Look, I don't have to deal with this. They leave. Now you have less jobs. Now, no more billionaires are going to move in permanently. Guys, everything people enjoy about major cities, they can enjoy and then go back somewhere else. I've been seriously considering getting a house in Indiana, right? You know, I'm a California boy. I love it here, right? But the Democrat policies are killing me, right? But here's the thing. I could probably keep the apartment I have here, deal with none of the other bullshit expenses. I'll use myself for an example. If I eliminate all the other costs that I incur for living in California, right? Including but not limited to street sweeper tickets and everything else, I could probably still maintain everything I have here in California and move to Indiana and still save money. I probably could do that. And if I wanted to come have fun in California, I could just hop on a plane and fly over here. It's a 2.5, 3 hour flight, have my fun, and then go back to where everything is cheap. I could do that probably. But think of how much more a multi-billionaire can do it. But these guys are investing in New York, and he's attacking them. So I love Tervis, or whatever this guy's name is. Tervis Hughes. He's talking about Ken Griffin. And he says he'll create 15K jobs. Couldn't be full of it. Fall for that every time. Call his bluff. NYC, valuable location. You don't like it, go somewhere else. Understand, these people are already going somewhere else. People think these billionaires won't leave. Dude, this guy has already created like 3,100 jobs in New York. And they're one of the most competitive employers in the world. They put out they had 300 job openings in 2024, and they had over they had over 85,000 applications for 300 jobs. So they're creating jobs. And the building they're going to mess with is a renovation, and that's going to create 15,000 jobs, and over half of those jobs will be permanent jobs. I don't know why it's like, one thing businesses are going to do is they're going to continue to try to make money. See, I have to trust. You trust. You're kind of dumb because you would rather trust a politician who basically gets paid based on making you believe that they're trying to do a certain thing that they might not be trying to do. The businesses will outlive the politicians, my friend. A business's job is to make money. So why wouldn't Ken Griffin invest in New York? But if it's going to end up costing him money, hurting him through draconian tax policies, he'll just move his business elsewhere. There are tons of companies. Elon Musk left California. The founder of Google is leaving California now. The oil companies, they're leaving California. Believe me, these businesses will leave. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. But guess what? Mark my words, if they stay on this path, 10 years from now, 5 to 10 years from now, you're going to see New York is going to be looking like Detroit. Remember Detroit fell apart? Detroit is the cautionary tale for every major city that thinks businesses won't leave. They will.
Higher taxes will lead to an exodus from New York City, and the real impact of the second home tax will, of course, depend on how it is written. Live tonight in Midtown, NJ Burkett, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
All right. Okay. But yeah, it's just emotional arguments, and people like Zohran Mamdani, they know how to manipulate, emotional people. They're master manipulators. The people they hate the most are the people who ask questions. That's the whole thing. They don't want you asking any questions, because if you ask questions, they have to explain. And let's be real, they cannot explain. They cannot answer these questions. They can't. They don't exactly know how it's going to work. They don't know exactly how it's going to work, but they're going to keep screaming it at the top of their lungs because it gets a reaction out of you. And it's like every man, we know, work. If you don't work, you don't eat. So work for what you want. Stop waiting for somebody to promise it to you out of somebody else's pocket. That never works. That never, ever, 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 ever works. Ever. And man, I'm telling you, throughout history, we've been taught this lesson. Socialism, it is not an American idea. It's not an American idea. It's not something that Americans have ever entertained. Understand that. And to think that Americans are suddenly going to start entertaining it is just ignorant. Americans are never going to buy into that. Never, ever. As much as we might want it to be the case. Hold on, I want to give you guys.
Felt that video.
I want to give you guys this other little clip real quick to cap this story. I think it's right here. Let me see. Because now, the New York governor, she's all over this guy.
Before he meets with the Governor Hochul as he reconsiders his company's investments in the...
Okay, so now this guy, Ken Griffin, he's trying to meet with the governor of New York. And she's pissed off. And she's basically said she's tired of being extorted by Zohran Mamdani. So even the governor of the state is turning on Mamdani because she understands, hey, the stuff that this guy is saying, he's driving people out of the state, not just out of the city. He's driving people out of the state. And the governor has to be responsible for what's going on in the whole state. So even a fellow Democrat, Kathy Hochul, she's starting to get sick of Mamdani's crap. And she's calling his ass out over it.
New front in Manhattan's tax tussle with billionaires, business leaders, and politicians all in the mix today. Governor Hochul is meeting with billionaire Ken Griffin, trying to ease tensions with the hedge fund CEO over the proposed pied-à-terre tax. Eyewitness News reporter Lindsay Tuckman live outside the governor's office on Manhattan's East Side. Lindsay?
Yes, Sandra, the governor actually said that this meeting with Ken Griffin was scheduled months ago before that video went viral of Mayor Mamdani talking about the billionaire in regards to the pied-à-terre tax. But despite it being scheduled several months ago, we all expect that it is likely going to be a big topic today. We also understand that they will be talking about the future direction of New York City in this meeting. We are here outside of the governor's office, but this also comes as local city leaders are discussing ways to close the budget gap in the city. Now, Ken Griffin is the billionaire CEO and founder of the hedge fund and market trading firm Citadel. And it is, again, expected that him and Governor Kathy Hochul will be discussing the tax on second homes that has been proposed in New York for second homes worth more than $5 million, aka the pied-à-terre tax. Now, Griffin made headlines recently when Mayor Mamdani called him out, as well as his Manhattan home, by name in a video pushing for that tax. Griffin called it a personal attack that could be rather dangerous to have his home online like that. Mamdani, meantime, though, has been pushing to quote-unquote tax the rich, pleading as well for more money from state lawmakers to close the city's $5 billion budget gap. He will also be meeting with business leaders here in New York. Specifically today, Mayor Mamdani is meeting with Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan this afternoon, and this comes after he met with Chobani CEO Hamdi Ulukaya on Monday. So as for what Griffin and Hochul will be discussing, well, the CEO was at an investment conference in Oslo this week where he said they're likely to talk about his company's planned office tower at 350 Park Avenue and if that still will be moving forward after this event. Governor Hochul also spoke about their meeting.
I meet business leaders all the time. This was previously scheduled. We just changed the exact timing of it, but I already had this on the books. I meet business leaders all the time. So we booked this a while ago.
We'll talk about our future direction in New York. Here's the real question. Is New York going to put their fiscal house in order and run itself from a position of a strong government that's pro-business? Or are they looking to play, why do the Americans think we can do socialism? We have none of that in our DNA, and we're just going to screw it up.
Well, on that note, members of the New York City Democratic Socialists, as well as other local leaders and New Yorkers, are planning to rally outside the governor's office here later tonight. That's why you can see these barricades have been set up. And that is because there was another rally and protest held recently where 19 people were arrested. Obviously, that they do not.
Now, so look, now they're going after the governor. The governor is like a Democrat, but she has common sense. She's like, guys, we can't keep attacking the businesses that really make this whole state run. You guys, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Let me ask you a question. Everybody here primarily works for a company of some sort, right? I work for a small family-owned company. You guys work for companies, maybe a major corporation or whatever. I really don't know. But if that company leaves your state today, where do you work? If your governor goes at that company and says, screw you guys, we're raising your taxes. If you don't like it, leave. And that company says, okay, we'll leave. Where do you work? Oh, I'm going to live off of welfare. Well, someone has to pay taxes for the money to be available for you to live off of welfare. And everybody knows that welfare don't cover no bills these days. Let's be real. It's like anybody who doesn't understand these basic concepts, you need to watch the movie The Lion King. And you know the song that they sing called The Circle of Life? That is basically an economy. If you drive out the rich, they don't create the jobs, they don't use the services that you profit from. If you drive out the middle class, they don't buy DoorDash. You work DoorDash, they're not buying DoorDash. Now you have no DoorDash job to work. So as much as we take this stance, like we don't give a fuck, we don't care. Yeah, well, that your kids can't eat. We don't care. Your kids can't eat. Tax the rich. They can't. But I want you guys to listen to this part of this video where Zohran Mamdani, they do like a town hall style interview, and a citizen of New York asks a very basic question to Zohran Mamdani. Can you explain how any of what you're proposing is going to work? And Mamdani gives him an answer that I think is a characteristic of his whole campaign and socialism in general. I tell you guys about socialists and people pushing for it. They can never answer basic questions directly, because if they tell you what they're really thinking, you would no longer support them. And here we go with the, shut up, Brandon, you're hurting my feelings.
Contains multitudes, and we welcome them all. Do you have a question for the mayor? Or what are you looking for him to deliver on for you to become a convert or at least a supporter?
I'm a reasonable person. I mean, given what people think and say about Republicans, I don't parrot. I think for myself. Maybe I'm unique, maybe I'm not. I'll leave that for smarter people. What I would like to say is that I understand where you're coming from, what you want to provide for the people. And my personal belief, not that I'm going to parrot, but my personal belief is that if you're going to charge me a tax, I want you to show me something for it. So I don't know how people feel about taxes, because people, feel differently about taxes. And that's a conversation for another time. But what I would say is, if you can show beyond any reasonable doubt that if this, whatever you're planning had to go to court, beyond any reasonable doubt, that any New Yorker on the street can say, you know what, I'm willing to pay that extra dollar.
Yeah, that's the big question, right? It's one of the highest tax jurisdictions in the country.
The highest.
Just to be clear, it's got one of the highest municipal governments. It's not like this is a small government place. The question of are the services up to how much people are paying for them? And I think it's...
Let me, before his word salad, let me give you guys a stat. In the past 10 years, the population of New York City has increased by 1%. In the last 10 years, the budget of New York City has increased by 75%. So with only 1% population growth, why does New York need a 75% increase in its city budgets? Which means roughly a 75% increase in taxes. See, are the services matching? Do the means justify the ends, basically? What this guy is asking, the guy with the long hair. And let's see what Zohran Mamdani's going to say, which is nothing.
It is something that I think about often, because as much as I think about public goods, I think about public excellence. Right? We don't want to try and convince a New Yorker in a conversation about the worth of something. We want to be able to prove it to them through what it is that we're delivering. And I think that's where it comes back to, is that the taxes that we're calling for on the wealth.
So when he's saying, we don't want to convince New Yorkers in a conversation, we want to prove it through action. He doesn't want to have to show you that his plan is thought through and there's a reasonable goal that's been set. He wants you to let him implement the plan. And if the plan succeeds, good. But if it's a catastrophic failure, oh, well, let's do something else. Who does that? The Bible says, what man plans on building a building and doesn't first count the cost? That's this. I'm telling you, you don't got to be religious. You don't have to be any of that. Listen to that biblical wisdom. Who builds something without first calculating the cost and making sure that you have the money to complete it? If you go to a third world country, I've been to many, one thing you'll see is half-built buildings all over the place. Why? Because in the third world, people start projects before they have the money to finish them. And New York is becoming a third world shithole because, let's be real, over 75% of the population of New York is from the third world. And when I say that, and I got these stats from Brandon Lehman, but when I say that, we're considering you got a lot of immigrants. Then you got the children of immigrants, right? Even though they're citizens, they're still the children of immigrants. So they're raised by third world immigrants. So when you really calculate the true numbers, A lot of these people are New York is there is a large no, it's overwhelmingly people who are from the third world. That's why a lot of them support Mamdani. That's why a lot of them support the shit he's saying. Because socialism the socialist mindset only really exists outside of America, right? Because Americans are like, nah, we'll work and buy what we want. Third world is like, yo, we're so poor, we need the government to take care of us. Not realizing, where is the government going to get these taxes from? They're taking that shit out your check. And they're giving it to somebody who doesn't want to work. That's the part Mamdani can't tell you.
Wealthiest of the wealthy, the most profitable corporations of those that do business here in New York.
Oh, I'll let him
They are
finish
ones
talking.
that we would
I'll
then-
start it over. I'll go back. I'll let you hear all of what he said.
The taxes that we're calling for on the wealthiest of the wealthy, the most profitable corporations of those that do business here in New York, they are ones that we would then use that revenue to transform the lives of every New Yorker.
That's it. That's the end of the video. We'll use that money to transform the lives of every New Yorker. Guys, anyone who falls for this is ignorant. You're going to transform the lives of every New Yorker. But guess what? You're going to transform the lives of some of the New Yorkers for the bad, and you'll transform some of them for the good. But you're not going to be able to be all things to all people. You're not going to be able to give everybody everything they want. You know that. You're an adult. Everybody can't get everything they want. Eventually, when you're screwing somebody over, they leave. They go away from that place. They say, you know what? It's not making any sense. Stand here and working. My girl right here, Miss Berry, she said, I left in 2012. She got the hell out of New York. Now she's living in another state with better taxes and everything. This guy makes no sense. It's Obama 2.0. Hope and change. Hope and change. That's it. But can't tell you nothing. Word salad answer. Can't even prove that he can't even prove his point. He did like this thing where he was walking around on the streets interviewing New Yorkers, and he was looking dumb as hell because all those New Yorkers were like, I supported Donald Trump.
And who did you vote for?
The $1 million question. Trump. Donald Trump. The swing is because...
Look, the New Yorkers with sense voted for Donald Trump. But when your population is like 75% immigrant, guess what? They'll outvote you every time.
And who did you vote for?
The $1 million question. Trump. Donald Trump. The swing is because people want lower prices. They probably believe that Trump would give them that.
Rent is expensive. Foods are going up. Utility bills are up.
And that's your hope, to see a little bit more of an affordable life?
Absolutely.
My name is Zoran Mamdani. I'm going to be running for mayor next year.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
The dawn of Mayor Mamdani's campaign was going out to Fordham Road here in the Bronx and Hillside Avenue.
See, people in New York were getting on board with Donald Trump. But then Mamdani came with free stuff. The only thing that overrides people's common sense is the idea of getting things free. Everybody loves free stuff. We live in California. You got rich people who go stand at the food bank just to get free food. They got the money, but it's free, right? You know, your mom ever told you, hey, go down there and get some of that free this and that. You're like, well, we got that. I said, go down there and get some of that free stuff. See, our nation is trying to heal, right? Our nation is trying to get back to the traditional American values, but it's very hard for people to reject, quote unquote, free. But nothing is free. Oh, they have free healthcare in Canada. No, they don't. They take half your fucking paycheck for your quote unquote free healthcare. It ain't free. You make 500, you make 1,000, they take 500 and say, "Ooh, look, free healthcare." That ain't free. You pay for it. You're just paying for it before you get to use it. And then you die on a waiting list. You know, over 20,000 people died last year in Canada waiting on medical care because their quote unquote universal health care their system is overrun. Now, mind you, Canada is a country with a population less than a lot of American states. But they had 20,000 people die while waiting on medical treatment. And they have a lower population than a lot of American states. Did you know that per capita, no, not even per capita, did you know that the state of Alabama is richer than the whole country of Canada? Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that the state of Alabama is richer than the whole country of Canada? No lie. Alabama right now is beating out. Alabama is beating out Canada, the whole country. Free healthcare, right? Free healthcare. Per capita, they're literally destroying Canada right now. In their GDP. It's bad. It's really bad because no one wants to invest in Canada. Nobody. Because Canada is overrun by illegal immigrants who want to live on welfare. The people there who work, they're like, fuck working. I'm not going to work so my money can just go to illegals. They're not going to do it anymore. They're sick of it. They're fed up. And if you guys don't believe me, I'll give you this link. Mercedes-Benz just signed a contract with Alabama to open up a factory over there. They beat out Canada for that factory. A huge.
Is Canada?
Look, I'll show you guys. You guys don't believe me. Go check out this video.
Is Canada poorer than the U.S. state of Alabama? That question was at the center of some debate this weekend. It was sparked by a headline in the Globe and Mail. It read, "How Canada Became Poorer Than Alabama." And that article was based on analysis by the IMF, which found Canada's provinces had an average GDP per capita equivalent to Alabama back in 2022, but then that figure shrank over the next 2 years. This whole episode has sparked an awful lot of debate among experts. Some said GDP per capita is a lousy way to measure wealth and prosperity. Economist Jim Stanford with the Center for Future Work wrote, "This far-fetched conclusion reflects deep flaws in the use of per capita GDP as a measure of prosperity and living standards. This simple ratio ignores important issues such as what's included in GDP, who owns it, and how it's distributed." So, how did we get here? And what do you really need to know about the state of Canadian economic growth? Well, for that, we turn to economist Mike Moffat, who joins us now. And Mike, I'm going to ask if Canada's poorer than Alabama, but before we even get there, is that the right question that we should be asking as we're trying to figure out where we are and where we need to be headed?
No, I don't think it is. I think we need to ask ourselves, are we doing better in a more holistic sense? So, not just what GDP tells us, but, quality of life, standard of living, inequality, and so on.
This guy is an economist. He knows Canada is shittier than Alabama, but he says, don't look at GDP. He says, look at quality of life. Oh, we have a more peaceful, more scenery, more greenery, but you can't afford to live. I have a friend living in Canada right now. She's like, everyone in Canada is talking about trying to move to Texas. Excuse me. Think about that. You got people in Canada wanting to move to Texas because it's so shitty. Well, I'm just telling you, you guys can go watch this video.
And I also think, at the end of the day, we should be asking ourselves, are we doing as well as we could be doing? I think that's the most important part, that I don't think we should be trying to compete with Alabama, but rather, I always thought in sports, I always wanted to be better today than I was yesterday. And I think Canada should be taking the same attitude. We should be trying to be better than we were last year.
He's admitting that they can't even beat out Canada. We shouldn't be trying to beat. It's like them saying, don't play to win, just play to have fun. A whole country that can't compete with a little tiny little dirt rock of a state. Think about that. But this is what y'all want. Y'all think people won't leave New York. People will leave a whole damn country if business conditions are not good.
not comparing ourselves to one of 50 U.S. states.
And I should note, everybody should go out and read the piece in the Globe. I think it's smart. I think it's a really interesting jumping off point to have a broader conversation about the Canadian economy. And if GDP per capita is the one we're going to use, sure. But the point of it is to have a broader conversation. You looked at a whole bunch of figures. You were tweeting about this over the weekend, not just GDP per capita, measuring, are we better off than we were 20 years ago? And the interesting thing that jumped out to me was the only one that seemed to have improved over the last number of years was, in fact, GDP per capita. Everything else is in pretty precipitous decline.
Yeah, there's this kind of...
Man, yeah. Guys, go check that video out. It's more. Let's look at Lee Young-hoon. Tariffs are hiking up prices. ICE is wrecking local economies. How is ICE wrecking local economies? And the war is driving up gas prices. To top it off, my taxes are paying for the war itself. Lee, you just reminded me I need to watch Rush Hour when I'm done with this. This makes no sense. Tariffs are hiking up prices. Guys, let me tell you something. I love this comment because it's just so bad. Lee, could you... I'm going to give Lee an opportunity. Lee, come up here and explain. I'm giving you the link. It's in the comments. Please, Lee, please click the link and come explain to me, one, how tariffs are hiking up prices. But really what I want to know is how ICE is wrecking local economies and raising food costs. That's the one I want to know. This is the one. ICE is wrecking local economies and in raising food costs. To the first one, people don't understand. To the first one, people don't understand tariffs, right? Tariffs basically encourage you to buy things that are made domestically. So if a tariff is raising prices on the things you're buying, that means you need to buy things that are made in America. A tariff, okay, so say you buy Samsung, right? Okay, Samsung might have television manufacturing, hold on. Does Samsung make TVs in the US? Okay. So if you buy a Samsung TV, right? If they hit South Korea with a tariff, which they didn't, you would pay more for for a Samsung TV, right? Okay. But if you buy a Roku TV, which is the same crap, same thing, guess what? The price wouldn't go up or down at all. And the price on a Samsung wouldn't go up at all either, because they didn't get hit with no tariffs, because South Korea is a cooperative country with the United States. So I would say whether you're impacted by tariffs is really based on what you're buying. Everyone knows that. But if you don't want to get hit with taxes or tariff price, there are TVs that are made in the United States, flat screens, Roku. You got Skyview. I never even heard of that. And then you got Sunbright TV. There are TVs made in the United States. But I know Roku for a fact. That's a big one we all know. But then they have all these other televisions that are made in the United States. Sunbright and Element Electronics. You won't get hit with no tariffs, taxes, or the price won't be raised because of tariffs. So tariffs are just encouraging you to buy at home. And what that does is that encourages people to manufacture things at home. So tariffs are a good thing. Travel the world, go buy baby lotion for your baby. Johnson & Johnson is going to be $20. The baby lotion made locally is going to be $2. Thus, you're going to buy the $2 baby lotion that's made in that place. Travel, people. Get out, see the world. You'll learn a lot about how things work. So I have no issue with tariffs. The only people who have issues with tariffs are people who are addicted to foreign brands. I'm not. I'll buy the Skyview TV. F it. Or the Roku. Right? Or the Samsung, which is what I got right now. But Samsung didn't get hit by tariffs because Trump didn't impose tariffs against South Korea. Okay. So also, ICE is wrecking local economies and raising food costs. Come on, man. Joe Biden, ICE wasn't running the streets and food was astronomically high under Biden. So we know that ain't what that is. What's raising food costs is energy prices. Energy prices raise food costs. So if you want to say like the war in Iran is hurting America and making gas high, well, where I live in California, America doesn't need gas from Iran. So that's not raising fuel prices. It might raise the fuel prices in California where I live because let me tell you guys a fun fact. Did you guys know this? California, the reason why California's gas prices are impacted by the war in Iran is because California pumps oil out of the ground. Now, mind you, we used to have like over 30 refineries. We shut them all down. We recently shut down 2 more. We got 3 refineries left in the whole state. California pumps oil out of the ground, y'all. We put that oil on ships. We send those ships to China. China refines the oil for us. Then they ship the oil back to California. That's why gas in California is so cheap. But then we send gas to Nevada, and the gas that we send to Nevada sells for $2 less than it sells in California. Are you really going to sit here and say that the war in Iran is driving up gas prices? We literally pump oil out the ground in California, ship it to China, let them refine it, then ship it back to California. Why can't we just refine it in our own refineries? We had almost 40. I think we had over 40 refineries in our state. We shut them all down. This is not stuff that's created by wars in Iran. This ain't stuff that's created by Trump. This stuff is created by horrible Democrat policies. Why are you shipping oil to China to be refined? You claim you want to save the environment, but China's refining processes are way dirtier than California's. And then you bring it back into California and sell it for an astronomical price. This is stupid. This is absolutely dumb. And you'll blame that on Trump and ICE? No, you're wrong, Lee Young-hoon. You're wrong. You're 1,000% wrong. The war in Iran ain't causing your oil prices to go up. Oil being traded on a global market is what's causing your oil prices to go up. That's it. Me too. I'm extremely happy with my vote as well. But yeah, it doesn't make sense. So guys, we've been here for almost 2 hours. Should I do this last story about the Hispanics? Let's talk about these Hispanic people, man. I was going to give them a break tonight, but you know what? I got to stay true to the game, man. So basically, there is a situation in California where we are about to select our next governor. Yay for us. But there's a problem. We have a bunch of people in our state who, though they are suffering under horrible Democrat policies, they don't care. They don't seem to care about having a better life, right, in the state that they live in. All they seem to care about is the color of people's skin, right? And those people are the California Hispanics who are supporting this horrible guy named Javier Becerra. This guy, I mean, everybody I think can agree that Gavin Newsom did a horrible job running this state. But this guy, Javier Becerra, seems to believe that Gavin Newsom earned an A grade, in the way he ran California. And we all know that that's a lie, but this guy is currently surging in the polls behind a strong Hispanic support for governor. Let me play this for you so you can see this nonsense.
What grade does he get on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, I would say that the governor has made efforts. We've seen him come down to Los Angeles, actually go out and try to clean some of the streets. On effort, I would give him an A.
What grade does he get
on the homelessness issue? On the homelessness issue.
Becerra flip.
I want
on the homelessness issue, which is a night.
What grade would you give Governor Gavin Newsom for his last 2 terms as governor?
Oh. So you're talking to someone who's had to balance a budget bigger than the budget that Governor Newsom had to balance. You're talking to someone who had to deal with a crisis bigger than perhaps any crisis that the governor of California had to deal with when we had to save lives across the country with COVID. You're talking to someone who took on a rogue, menacing federal government the way Governor Newsom has had to do that. I did that when I was AG.
You are going to grade him. Are you going to grade him?
I am going to grade him.
Okay.
But I'm trying to put it in context.
Got it.
So it is important to recognize when you grade someone, understand the shoes they're filling. It's not easy to be a governor of the biggest state, the 4th largest economy. So what I would tell you is this. We became the 4th largest economy under Gavin Newsom. Check. We have expanded healthcare to more Californians. Check. There are many things that he has done well. There are other things. Public safety, I think he could have been more ambitious. Homelessness could have been more ambitious, have people be more accountable. If I were grading, I'd say Gavin Newsom is going to go on to college because he's going to graduate from my high school. What grade?
What's the threshold for that?
What's the threshold?
Yeah, the threshold
that he's
for,
left us in a place.
So like
where,
a C?
Well, I mean, you could go to college with a C. It's a lot more difficult. But I think he has done many of the things that we have asked him to do. And in some areas, well, when I become governor, I'll make sure.
But what's the grade?
I don't know if I can give him a grade.
He said he would give him a grade.
You were going to grade him.
Well, I was going to try, but what I'm telling you, I wasn't in his shoes.
On the homelessness issue, which is a nightmare in California. Again, they're number 1 when it comes to worst in the nation. Here's Becerra's grade of Gavin Newsom on that issue.
Mr. Becerra, we haven't seen you issue a letter grade on Governor Newsom's overall performance. What grade does he get on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, I would say that the governor has made efforts. We've seen him come down to Los Angeles, actually go out and try to clean some of the streets. On effort, I would give him an A.
Oh my God, everyone gets a trophy on effort. I mean, that might be even worse. At least if he hadn't tried, you could be like, well, he has different priorities. And if we could get him focused on the right priorities, he would know what he's doing. That's not what he said. He's like, he tried super hard. He's just totally incompetent. He's completely ineffectual and doesn't know how to do things, get things done. I mean, it's almost worse. But I mean, as you know, not afraid to swear, but I really don't like the P word. But if I were to use it, I'd be using it about.
Okay, so this guy, right? He was like polling less than 2%. So the Hispanics in California shut down the USC debate because he wasn't included, because he wasn't even polling over 5%. He wasn't even in the top 5 people running. They shut down the USC debate over pure racism. Oh, he's Hispanic, so he should be on stage, even if he didn't.
The race for
even
California.
if he hasn't earned, the support to be on stage. So, Eric Swallowswell, he exited the race, and all of a sudden, all the Hispanics who were supporting the predator, Swalwell, they left Swalwell, and then they went and jumped on board with this guy, Becerra. So he surges in the polls, right? And the guy's just an idiot. He's basically Gavin Newsom 2.0. He thinks Gavin Newsom did an excellent job at A, and he's like, I'm not really going to change anything. I'm not going to do anything differently from what Gavin Newsom's going to do. These guys are all kind of in cahoots, I believe, except for the Republican candidates. I'm really not a big fan of Steve Hilton, but ultimately Javier Becerra is he's only in the position he's in because our Hispanic friends in California are voting La Raza over everything. He's Hispanic. He's the only Hispanic on stage. They're going to vote for him. They don't care about his policies. They don't care about the homelessness situation, the economy, the $37 billion wasted, high gas prices, high food prices, all this shit that they bring up when they're trying to hate on Trump. But when it's time to choose leadership, their concern about all those things goes out the window. And there's only one thing that they care about. Will their illegal relatives be allowed to stay in California, with California remaining a sanctuary state? That's it. And I want to point that out to you guys because, of course, he wants amnesty. Bianco wants amnesty. But I want to point that out to you guys because I want you to understand something. When people try to pull at your heartstrings and appeal to you based on one or two things that they think are important, understand they're telling you, hey, I give a F about this more than I care about you and your kids being able to afford to live here and thrive here. I care more about illegal criminal aliens being allowed to come into California and become citizens than I care about your kids being able to afford to buy a home in this state. More than I care about your kids being able to afford groceries in this state. See, that's the whole situation right here. This and Javier Becerra, he is someone who represents that I don't give a F mentality. Because he's just like, look, what are my people going to benefit from? And he believes they're going to benefit from sanctuary city, amnesty, all that. So you got people who are participating in this election purely based on selfishness, their own personal desires. They don't care about the law. That's why they were out here fighting federal agents to keep illegal immigrants in. They don't care about any of that. They don't care about America. They just want their way no matter what. Becerra represents the same failed Washington, D.C. to Sacramento pipeline that is literally driving the middle class out of existence in California. Why are these people supporting a man who champions the very policies that are making our neighborhoods unsafe and are making our gas prices unaffordable? It's a total disconnect with the rest of America. Our Hispanic brothers and sisters, the Black-Brown Coalition, they're the backbone of the workforce in California. I have to give them that, right? Yet they're continuously voting for people who think that someone like Gavin Newsom is doing a great job as he literally drives out the very companies that they work for. It's time to stop with this failed rhetoric and start looking at results. We don't need somebody giving an A+ as a virtue signal to Washington like, yeah, I'm still on your side. We need a passing grade in reality. We need somebody who's really going to go in there and do the work to get that A grade. California literally is at its breaking point. And following this guy, Becerra, is like following somebody off a cliff. It's not even an option. So if you're a Hispanic person watching this, I'm not here to sound racist, but if you do some dumb shit, I'm going to call you out. If you out here putting La Raza and La Raza over in Mexico, illegally coming into America, if you're putting that over what's best for you and your fellow Americans in this country, you're wrong to do that. You're wrong to do it. And you know you're wrong. You know you're wrong. You literally, man, I'm just telling you. You know you're wrong. And I could talk all damn day about this, but if you just sit up and listen to this guy for 5 seconds, right? You know that this guy's not the right choice. Like you know you're wrong. Now, I have my selection, and of course I'm going to go down on the side of the Democrat because both the Democrats, I love Chad Bianco more so than Steve Hilton because Bianco has actually dealt with these corrupt California politicians, and he knows he's a sheriff. So in my opinion, he understands the laws. More important than just knowing things are bad, he understands the laws that were actually passed and put in place, right, that caused the situation we're in California. And I'm trying to find this one clip because he gives a great example of that as he explains why the houses burned down in the Palisades. He gave a great explanation of that, because a lot of people are like, why did the houses in the Palisades burn down? You guys, like, people were saying there was no water. Other people were saying, oh yeah, the shrubbery and undergrowth wasn't taken care of. I think this is a clip. Let me see.
Absolutely ridiculous. We're lying to we're not taking responsibility for failed Democrat policies that have brought us here.
But fear aside, time is ticking. About a week from today,
they get rid of Bianco quick. They only
afraid of in front of this audience of college students.
Let's see.
But actually, I'm terrified that one of these people are going to be here.
More fiery debate than last week's. Take a look.
If you want socialism, go somewhere else, because single-payer people come to America for the best medical coverage and care in the entire world.
And what if you don't have any health care? What are you going to do for the people who need
I thought I got to answer, but apparently we're just going to do this all night.
We only have so much time.
But what you're proposing is not in there. You can't.
That's not correct. That's not correct.
Let's go to that, because that was not the question. The question was, here comes the fire. What are you going to do?
Please, Mr. Bianco, you had your time, Mr. Mahan.
That wasn't the question.
I'd love to just answer the question.
Wow, that was a bit of a mess.
But beyond the mess, some answers tonight from the candidates on the most pressing issues, including affordability, especially when it comes to housing.
The solution here is not a silver bullet. It's what I call silver buckshot. We need to work to shorten and reduce the cost of permitting. We need to redo zoning.
We need to have first-time buyer assistance, $25 billion initiative at no cost to the taxpayer that will help them get into their first house.
As governor, the first thing I'll do is provide down payment assistance grants to those who want to own a home. And we will build 2 million housing units using the surplus property that school districts have in every single county in this state.
I've also rolled out policies for free childcare. That is a game changer for California, bringing us something that other states don't offer. 2 free years, tuition free at our UC, our CSUs, and our Cal Polys. Those are all real affordability solutions.
My plan to make our state Cal-affordable, $3 gas, cut your electric bills in half, your first $100,000 tax-free, and especially for young people, a home you can afford to buy, so we can restore that California.
All right, I want to show you guys this one exchange. And I think this exchange will show you exactly why I'm choosing Bianco over everybody. This lady up here, her name is Katie Porter. She's absolutely out of her mind. She is probably one of the worst. She is the worst candidate on the stage. And she has this moment because, you know, a lot of the stuff that Democrats promise you that they're going to do to like help you, quote unquote, it's lies. And a lot of it is unconstitutional. So Tom Steyer is up there. This one, he's a billionaire, but somehow he's actually in the lead for all the Democrats. He's a multi-billionaire. And California being California, we believe that a multi-billionaire is going to is going to tax all the billionaires. He's not going to do that. We know that. And the billionaires want him to win because they know he's a billionaire like us, so he's really not going to tax us, but he'll say whatever to get elected. But I want you to watch this exchange, and I want you to listen to what Bianco says to this lady. He basically explains, after she finishes running her mouth, he interrupts her, then he explains exactly why the Pacific Palisades fires happened and why they still haven't rebuilt the home. So if you've ever wanted to know the answer to that question, Chad Bianco is going to give it to you right here.
What's to do is unconstitutional. What he's proposing is a good idea, but was already done. We don't want more people on the FAIR plan because it's a huge financial liability for the state of California.
It's single payer. You want it some.
So the FAIR plan, just to let you guys know, the FAIR plan is a fund that was started by the state to help people whose houses were burned down in the fire, and for like people who can't afford home insurance. So the state insured their homes, right? They pay a little bit and the state would insure their homes. That's a single payer system, just like universal health care. It's using taxpayer dollars to insure people's homes. She says they don't want people on the FAIR plan. And Chad Bianco, he comments, he says, okay, so you don't want taxpayer dollars being used to help insure people's homes, but you want to use taxpayer dollars to give people free medical insurance. It's the same thing. The only difference is free healthcare helps illegals. Home insurance helps American citizens. She doesn't want taxpayer dollars being spent to help American citizens, but she doesn't mind taxpayer dollars being spent to help illegal immigrants. So that's what's going on here, and I'm not going to interrupt anymore.
Housing is a good idea, but was already done. We don't want more people on the FAIR plan because it's a huge financial liability for the state of California.
It's single payer. You want it somewhere else.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Single payer.
I'm speaking.
I know you are.
She's talking.
Mr.
And
Bianco,
we're lying
we'll go
to
to
kids.
you. We'll go to you next.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I was even up here anymore.
Neither were any
Give
of us.
me a minute, and then you will get your
May
time.
I finish? The reinsurance is a really important part of this, thinking about how to insure the insurers. There are ways that we could put California state dollars at play to bring down the cost of reinsurance, which would help more people come back into this market and write more affordable policies.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Now, to your point, Mr. Bianco, Ms. Porter has supported single-payer health care
Here it comes.
insurance, and you are saying that this is essentially the same thing. Can you elaborate on your concern, and then, frankly, chime in on what you think these plans will do to the insurance market?
Yeah, I was walking in here tonight, and I was asked the most strange question ever by a CBS reporter that said, "Are you afraid of tonight?" And my answer was, "I'm not afraid of anything. I'm truly not. But actually, I'm terrified that one of these people are going to be your next governor, and these kids are all going to have to move." This is absolutely ridiculous. We're lying to we're not taking responsibility for failed Democrat policies that have brought us here. The FAIR plan is 100% a single payer, and it is a failure. Absolute failure. So we're not going to medical because it's the same thing. The insurance companies left because the insurance companies can't be forced into bankruptcy by the state. They told the state it wasn't global warming. Stop believing that. It was a failed environmental policy that doesn't allow fire departments to prevent defensible space around our homes or clear out the brush for 30 years that are building in our mountains and in our hills that took out a city.
Okay,
they specifically said we were going to lose a city, and our governor said we don't care, and so the insurance companies left.
Mr. Bianco, do you have any
may I ask
a question? Do you have any idea?
So now while they try to filibuster, you guys learned here tonight, if you didn't learn it anywhere else, you learned why the entire Pacific Palisades burnt down. It had nothing to do with no damn environmental, it didn't have anything to do with anything they said. They drove out the insurance companies because the insurance companies said, look, you guys are not doing what you have to do to prevent fires. You're not cleaning the forest bed. You're not taking care of, the high risk fire zones. So we can insure these homes from fires if we know that there's a high potential for there to be a fire so big that it will burn down a whole city. Gavin Newsom said, I don't give a F, because he was trying to pander to the environmental agencies, to the different environmental groups, right? Because they give a lot of money. They give a lot of money to people running for office if you agree that you're going to not do anything that impacts the environment in a negative way. He diverted the LA River to save a tiny little minnow fish from extinction, allegedly. And that also prevented enough water being available for the fire hydrants in the Palisades. But ultimately, California's trying to blame all this on the insurance companies. They won't insure. Why is insurance going up? They are literally declaring war on the insurance companies. They're literally saying you have to insure even though we're not doing what's necessary to make these places safe. Insure this house from fires while we allow shrubbery to grow all over the house and make it illegal for the owner to clear the house out. What he meant to say when he said defensible space, years back in the day, you were allowed to clear a certain amount of land around your property of shrubbery, dense shrubbery, and the dry foliage that is on the forest bed. That way, when there was a fire, the fire would burn up to that border and it wouldn't come in on your property. They made that illegal. Oh, you can't. So I can't rake damn leaves from around my damn house. So if there's a fire that break out, the fire don't jump on the leaves and then jump to my house. They made it illegal for you to do that. They set them up. They set them up so that their homes could get burned down. And the insurance companies are not stupid. They know what's most likely to happen. And so they just said, well, we're going to pull out before this ends up costing us. Hold on. They said, we're going to pull out before this ends up costing us billions of dollars. And they did, because by law, the state cannot force these companies to go bankrupt, taking on liabilities. And that's what those homes in the Pacific Palisades became. And guess what? How many of those homes in the 2 years since the fire, how many of those homes have been built back? None. 10 homes. Hundreds of homes were lost. 10 have been built back. See, this is the issue here. Ha, rotten roll, Javier Basura. No, for real. I really hope Spencer Pratt wins the mayor of LA election. But yeah, guys, so you guys know, to my Hispanic people, listen, man, we passed that. We passed all this La Raza shit and let's vote for him because he's Mexican. They're just like me. There's a black dude up there, Thurman. This bastard. I'm not voting for this fool because he's black. He's a damn failure. He's right here on the far left side. He's Tony Thurman. He's an absolute failure. He's a failure 100% at his job as like the school. He's like the head of schools in California. Why would I vote for this loser? Talking about he's going to try to bring charges against ICE agents. I smack him in the damn back of his head. I smack him in his face if I saw him face to face. This guy's trash. Our Hispanic people, they're going to have to learn. Just because somebody Mexican like you don't mean you throw your vote behind them. You need to look at what's best for your children. And what's best, and with Hispanics, it's tricky because, a lot of these people they operate on a black market, right? If you don't care if someone's raising taxes, if you don't pay no taxes, if you selling burritos on the side of the road, I find it hard to believe that you reporting to the government on all them earnings. You're not. So yeah, it makes sense that they wouldn't care about someone raising taxes if they're not subject to being taxed because they do everything under the table. I'm not saying all Hispanics do that. I'm just saying there's a significant amount in California specifically who do that. So I could see those people kind of being like, well, I don't care about taxes going up. I don't pay taxes when I'm doing my carpenter business, my lawn service, my burrito selling business, my taco stand, et cetera, et cetera. Or if I have this other business, I'm writing everything off anyway. I'm buying my food with the EBT and I'm selling that. That's all tax free. So let's hope that's not the motivating factor, but I do know that is one component of what's going on in California. But guys, listen, this is the end of the night for me. We've been up here. I hope you enjoyed it. Loved having you guys with me. Nice, strong audience tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Friday. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Until then, I appreciate everything you do for me and this channel. It's always love and it's always a blessing. Until the next time, take care of yourselves, but most importantly, please take care of each other. Peace.